Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our virtual Dirshu Mishnah Berurah share. We're holding in Mishnah Berurah Chelik Hey. Today's daf in the Dirshu Daf Yomi Bahalacha is Kuf Daled Amid Beis. We're continuing to learn Hilchos Yom Tov, and we begin today with Siman Taf Tzadik Zayin Siv Gimel on the top line of the Shulchan Aruch on Kuf Daled Amid Beis. Says the Mechaber, Afilu Safik Tzeda Aser. Even if we have a suffix, whether or not something was trapped on Yom Tov, that is Aser. Kegoin, for example, Mitsudais Chaya Dogim Va'oifais. Let's say you have traps that are set up to trap a Chaya, to trap, let's say, a deer, or fish, or birds. Shahayu Prusais Me Erev Yom Tov. Now, these traps were set in place on Erev Yom Tov. You didn't set them in place on Yom Tov. That would certainly be Aser. But you set these traps up on Erev Yom Tov. And then tomorrow on Yom Tov, you find something caught in the trap. Now, you don't know when it was caught. Says the Mechaber, Asurim, whatever was caught in the trap is Aser. It's not allowed to be used on Yom Tov. Unless we know for certain that it was trapped by day. Now, why would this be Aser? I believe the reason it's Aser is because it's Safik Muktzah. You see, if it was trapped on Erev Yom Tov, then we could say that that trapped animal is Min Hamuchan. You set up a trap, and something was trapped before Yom Tov, so it's Muchan. It's prepared for Yom Tov use, and it's not Muktzah. But if it was trapped on Yom Tov, that means that at Ben Hashmashis, when Yom Tov began, that animal, that fish, that bird, was Mechusser Tzeda. It was not yet trapped. So it's Einoi Min Hamuchan. That animal was still out in the wild, and it was not prepared for Yom Tov use, which renders it Muktzah now that it's trapped on Yom Tov. Let's see the Mishnah Berurah and Eis Katan Zayin. The Mishnah Berurah says Safik Tzeda. Now the Chavetz Chaim tackles a thorny issue right here. He says, but it's a little difficult to understand at first glance why this should be Aser. We saw that according to many Paiskim, the Isser of Tzeda on Yom Tov is not an Isser Daraisa. If it's Tzeda for Eichel Nefesh, so really it's Mutter on Yom Tov, the same way Bishul is Mutter on Yom Tov for Eichel Nefesh. And the only Isser is an Isser Darabanan. And like we explained yesterday, there are several different reasons why Tzeda for Eichel Nefesh would be Asser Midrabanan on Yom Tov. Could be because it's an Avodah Rabbah, and we're afraid that Shema Yimoneh Misimchas Yom Tov, somebody's going to get involved in hunting and trapping, and it's going to make them all busy. It's a vachadik activity. It's going to take away from Simchas Yom Tov. So Chazal Aser Tzeda on Yom Tov. And indeed, the Mechaber wrote that this is only Nisa D'Rabbanan back in Siman Taf Tzadik Hey. Now, if the whole Isser of Tzeda is only an Isser D'Rabbanan, so if we have over here a Safik Tzeda, we only have a Safik whether or not this was caught on Yom Tov. Could be it was caught before Yom Tov. So why don't we say Safik D'Sveika D'Rabbanan L'Kula? So the Chavetz Chaim says, Mikal Makam, nevertheless, even though we seem to be dealing here with a Safik on a D'Rabbanan, Hechmiru Kan Afilu B'Sveika, we're Machmer over here, even in the case of a Safik, Mishum Dehu Davar Sheyesh Lo Matirin. Because we have to realize that the trapped animal is really a davar sheyesh lo matirin. Sharei efshaloi la'achla machar Yom Tov. Whatever was trapped is going to be mutter after Yom Tov. Not only is it going to be mutter after Yom Tov, but we're going to see it's not even aser b'chtei sheyasu. It's mutter immediately upon the end of Yom Tov. It's mutter to use this trapped animal. So why do we have to be matir a safik on a d'Rabbanan on Yom Tov for something that's going to become mutter after Yom Tov? It's a davar sheyesh lo matirin. We're not pressed to go ahead and answer it. But davar sheyesh lo matirin hechmiru chachamim afilu b'safik d'Rabbanan. Now, if you take a look at the Sharet Tzion Eis Katan Yud, he brings this down from the Magen Avram in the name of the Maggid Mishnah, and the Meiri brings it also in the name of this Harav Habadrashi. So that's who they're bringing down, that the reason why Memachmir, even though it's only a Savik D'Rabbanan, is because it's a Davar Sheyesh Le Matirin. Now the Chavetz Chaim says here, Ulefi Svarazu, according to this Svara, that the Isser is because it's a davar sheyesh la matirin, then im yiskalkalu hadogim kishiyamten ad achar yom tov. Let's say we're talking about fish that are caught in a net, and we're not gonna, if we allow them to sit until after Yom Tov, they're gonna become ruined. They're not gonna be edible anymore. In that case, shari, then it would be mutter on Yom Tov. The loishayich loimer hamtein ad lamachar, because you can't call it a davar sheyesh la matirin. We can't say you should wait until tomorrow because tomorrow it's going to be ruined. So now it's a savik drabanan. It's not a davar sheyesh la matirin. We should be able to be matir those fish for use. The chamavur b'yeredeh siman kov beis siv dalid gabe klali davar sheyesh la matirin. This is what we say in Yeridea by the rules that govern the halachas of davar sheyesh la matirin. Achein, however, lefi svar shniya shehevi amagen Avram b'shem harav hamagid, the Magen Avram brings down from the Magid Mishnah another reason why we're machmer over here, even though it's a sveika d'Rabbanan. The kama pa'amim ro chachamim lahachmer afilu b'sveika d'Rabbanan. The Magid Mishnah says, while there is a rule that a suffix d'Rabbanan goes l'kula, but it's not a golden rule. It's not a hard, fast rule. There are times when Chazal saw fit to be machmer. Ein lahakil. And then we can't be makel, even if it's not a davar sheyesh la matirin. The Beis Meir also seems to lean towards the second explanation of the Magen Avram. He doesn't peg the chumrah on davar sheyesh la matirin. He says there are other reasons why it would be memachmer. V'chol gavni oser. Nevertheless, if it is a case where whatever was trapped would be totally ruined if we wait to use it, efshir diyesh lismay chatama kaima. Okay, let's take a look at Ice Cut and Ches. So the Mechaber said, in this case of Suffolk Tzeda, unless you know for certain that whatever is in the trap was trapped before Yom Tov, Asurim, whatever is in the trap is Asur, says the Chavetz Chaim. It's not only Asur ba'achila, va'afilu b'tiltul. It's even Asur in simple tiltul. It's muktzah, you're not allowed to be metaltalit. However, immediately upon Matzah Yom Tov, it's mutter ba'achila. Even if you know for certain that it was trapped on Yom Tov, it becomes a mutter immediately after Yom Tov. We don't have to wait for b'chtei sheyasa. We don't have to wait an amount of time after Matzah Yom Tov begins, an amount of time that would allow the animal to be trapped. That's the zman of b'chtei sheyasa. We don't have to wait an amount of time that the malacha could have done beheter after Yom Tov. Because we have to realize that there's another room over here for a kula, which is that nobody actually did a malacha on Yom Tov. We're not talking about, let's say, Dunkin' Donuts, where we wait after Yom Tov b'chtei sheyasa. We wait for enough time that they should be able to make donuts. We don't buy donuts from Dunkin' Donuts a minute after Yom Tov because that's malacha that was done on Shabbos. It's malacha that was done on Yom Tov. We wait for Chtei Sheyasa. We wait a certain amount of time. If it takes a half hour to make a donut, whatever it is, we wait for Chtei Sheyasa. Over here, you don't have to wait for Chtei Sheyasa because nobody did a malacha on Yom Tov. The trap was set, and the trap did its work memela by itself. So therefore, you don't have to wait. The Paiskim agree over here. The lav dafka safik tzeda. This halacha of the Mechaber over here, who says that we're machmir by safik tzeda, is not only talking about this specific malacha safik tzeda. Allahu adin kol safik mukta. Anytime there would be a safik of whether or not something is mukta, the choshkein safik noiled the machmirina behu kishal Torah, and certainly a safik of whether or not something is considered noilad. We treat that as a safik to araisa, and we would be machmir. When there's a safik whether or not something was brought from outside the tchum on Shabbos or Yom Tov, over there's a difference of opinion amongst the paiskim. We will see that Mirz Hashem in the following sim. Now let's go back up to the Shulchan Aruch. On the third line, a little bit past the middle of the line, the Mechaber says, and I hope I'm understanding this case properly. Let's say you had these traps that were set from Erev Yom Tov. Now on Yom Tov, you find an animal or a bird or a fish stuck in the trap, and you're not sure if it was trapped on before Yom Tov or on Yom Tov, but you could see already on Erev Yom Tov, you saw that the trap was disturbed. And we'll explain that in greater detail in the Mishnah Berurah. So you have an indication that the trap did its job on Erev Yom Tov. Then you can be certain that the trapping took place on Erev Yom Tov, and then you're allowed to use whatever was trapped. Excuse me. Now, of course, what's difficult to understand over here is, what does it mean that you found the trap disturbed? Obviously, you didn't find the animal in the trap on Erev Yom Tov. If you found the animal in the trap on Erev Yom Tov, there wouldn't be any shiloh over here. We're talking over here about a case where you did not find the animal in the trap on Erev Yom Tov, but you found part of the trap disturbed on Erev Yom Tov. Let's see the Mishnah Berurah is cut and test. If you found the trap disturbed, what this means is, this is some kind of a trap that is very large. It's something that takes up a large amount of space. Now, what I'm envisioning in my head is a net. Let's say it's a trap which is fashioned out of a net. Now, a net could be very, very big. And you can have one end of the net might be tied, let's say, to a tree on the edge of the woods, on the edge of the forest, very close to where the houses are, samach liyishuv. And then the net stretches out into the woods, which is out of sight. When an animal goes into one end of the trap, so let's say the animal gets snagged in the net that's in the woods. Since the animal is jumping around and he's pulling at the net in his attempts to escape, the entire net becomes disturbed. So the other end of the net that's tied to a tree or something close to the yishuv, so that's something that maybe you could see from your backyard on Erev Yom Tov. Maybe you look out the window on Erev Yom Tov and you see the end of the net that's tied close to the house, and you see that it's shaken up and maybe it's pulled off the tree, and you could see that it's disturbed. But the part of the net that extends into the woods where the animal is actually trapped, that you couldn't see on Erev Yom Tov. So you didn't see the animal trapped in the net on Erev Yom Tov, but you saw part of the net disturbed on Erev Yom Tov. Even though on the part of the netting that you can see on Erev Yom Tov, you don't see that anything is trapped, nevertheless, Siman, this is a very good indicator that there is an animal already trapped on the other end of the net. So if you have that indicator on Erev Yom Tov, you could assume that it was trapped on Erev Yom Tov. Now we go to Siv Dalet. Safek Muchan. If you have a question whether or not something is considered Muchan, whether or not it's considered prepared for Yom Tov, Yom Tov Sheni, for Yom Tov Sheni, it's mutter on Yom Tov Sheni. Safek Muchan mutter Yom Tov Sheni. If there's a suffix whether or not something is called Muchan, it's mutter on Yom Tov Sheni, Mishum de have a Svek Sveka, because over here we're dealing with a Svek Sveka. Let's take a look in the Mishnah Berurah to understand what we're speaking about. Ais Kat and Yud, Yom Tov Sheni. So first, the Chavetz Chaim just wants to make a peripheral point. Yom Tov Sheni shel Rosh Hashanah Aser. When we have this kula for Yom Tov Sheni, it does not apply to Yom Tov Sheni of Rosh Hashanah, to the second day of Rosh Hashanah. Because in the context of certain halachas, we consider the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah Yom Arichta, one long kedusha. We don't break it up. We don't consider it Yom Tov Sheni. And that's because even in the days of the Beis Hamikdash, there were times that Rosh Hashanah had to be 2 days. So the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah are sort of a Sveika D'Yoma that did not only apply to Chutz La'aretz, it applied in Eretz Yisrael as well. V'chein b'Yom Tov Sheni hasamach l'Shabbos, and also when Yom Tov Sheni is close to Shabbos. Says the Mishnah Berurah, he's cutting it aleph, that is svek sveka. We're saying that there's a heter over here on Yom Tov Sheni because we're dealing with a svek sveka. What's the svek sveka? Shema ein hayom Yom Tov. Maybe the second day of Yom Tov is not really Yom Tov. Maybe the first day of Yom Tov was the actual day of Yom Tov, and the second day is really Chayil. So, let's say we're dealing with the halacha that we learned in Sif Gimel. We have a suffix whether or not the animal was trapped on the first day Yom Tov, or it was trapped on the second day Yom Tov. So if our suffix was the animal trapped on the first day, on Erev Yom Tov, or on the first day Yom Tov, over there in Sif Gimel, we said we have to be machmer. The reason we're machmer, it's suffix muktzah, and it's a davar sheyesh lo matirin, so we're machmer. But how about if the suffix is, maybe it was trapped on the first day Yom Tov, maybe it was trapped on the second day Yom Tov, or maybe it was trapped on Erev Yom Tov, or maybe it was trapped on the second day Yom Tov. So I find an animal in the trap on the second day Yom Tov. I don't know, was it trapped today, or was it trapped before today? So it's a suffix murchan. Over here, we could be mekel. Why could we be mekel? Because we have to look at it, we have to say over here we have a svek sveka. Let's say it was trapped today on Yom Tov Sheni. Well, maybe today is not Yom Tov at all. Maybe today is a weekday. So what's the problem? Kevin do svek sveka gemura lehetera ein kanis klal. Shema eina. Let's start from the beginning of Ice Cutting Yud Aleph. Shema eina Yom Tov. Maybe the second day of Yom Tov is not Yom Tov at all. Maybe it's Chayil. The Shema nitzai me esmoil. So that's one suffix. One suffix is maybe today is Chayil. So if today is Chayil, it's not negayah. There's no Isser of Muktzah today. Today is Chayil. Now let's say today is Kadosh. Okay, maybe today is Kadosh, but Shema nitzai me esmoil. Maybe it was trapped already yesterday. Ukvar huchan. So it's muchan for use today. It was already caught yesterday. And over here, we're not going to be machmer because it's a dever sheyesh lematirin. Kevin do svek sveka gemura lehetera in kanisa klal. Since we have a svek sveka, a double suffix, there's no room for a chumrah at all. Now, what we're going to say in the Mishnah Berurah now is going to sound very familiar to Shlomo Zalman. This is a discussion that Shlomo Zalman and I had yesterday. The Chavetz Chaim says, however, v'yesh chalkin bazeh, there are those who disagree with this ruling, and they rule that there's no room for a svek sveka here. Why? With Svirlu, they hold the l'didan Yom Tov Sheni. For us, Yom Tov Sheni loy mitam safiku. Like I discussed with Shlomo Zalman, our Yom Tov Sheni, when somebody asks me, why do we have Yom Tov Sheni Shel Goliath? I do not answer because of Sveika D'Yoma. Because we do not have a Sveika D'Yoma. Like we discussed in the last few days, we have a calendar. We know precisely which day is Yom Tov and precisely which day really should not be Yom Tov. Our second day really should not be Yom Tov. So why do we keep Yom Tov Sheni Shel Goliath? Minig Aveseinu Biyadenu. Since there was a takana of Yom Tov Sheni Shel Goliath back in the day when there was Sveika D'Yoma, the Chazal, or the later Poskim, decided that that ruling remains in place. Minig Aveseinu Biyadenu, and even though we are Bekin B'Kviya D'Yarcha, even though we have a calendar and we know which day is the right day Yom Tov, we keep Yom Tov Sheni Shel Goliath anyway, because Minig Aveseinu Biyadenu, and maybe because we're afraid Chas v'Chalila of a Shas Ashmad, where the calendars that we have will get lost. We see how quickly things can break down, and suddenly we'll have a Sveika D'Yoma again. So once there was a Gzeira of Yom Tov Sheni Shel Goliath because of Sveika D'Yoma, it remains in place even when we do not have a Sveika D'Yoma. So in that case, how do we have a Svek Sveika over here? We're not keeping the second day Yom Tov because if it's a suffix, if it's Kadosh or it's Chayil. We know that as far as days of Yom Tov are concerned, really it's Chayil. But we keep it anyway because of Minig Aveseinu Biyadenu. So therefore the Chavetz Chaim says we're not keeping it mitam suffix, loy mitam suffiku. We're not keeping the second day out of suffix. Sharei Bekian anu B'Kviya D'Yarcha. We know v'yoyden anu shu Chayil. We know that really it's a day of Chayil. Elo sh'anu mekaymin Minig Aveseinu. We do it because Minig Aveseinu Biyadenu. V'heviki Yom Tov Vadai Midrabanan. So that means that the second day Yom Tov for us has a Vadai Din Yom Tov Midrabanan. Vein kan el safek echad v'aser u'kamay b'sif gimel. V'yesh lahachmer kisvara zu, and the Chavetz Chaim says, indeed, we should be machmer like this svara im loy b'makom hefsed gadol, unless we're dealing with a hefsed gadol. Okay, now we go to Sif Hey. Im sachar amas hamayim. Let's say you have a narrow channel of water that runs through your chutzner. It comes in on one end of your chutzner, it goes out on the other end of the chutzner. We learned about this back when we were dealing with the halachas last summer of iruvei chatzeros. We spoke about water that comes into a chutzner. What's the din of that water? So again, you have this stream that runs through your chutzner. Now, im sachar amas hamayim. Let's say you stopped it up. Baknisa, you stopped it up where the water comes into your chutzner. Ubayitzia, and you also stopped up the exit point of the stream from your chutzner. So whatever water and whatever fish are in your chutzner are trapped in your chutzner. They can't get out. No new fish could get in, and the old fish can't get out. And you did this Me'erev Yom Tov. So you stopped up the stream on Erev Yom Tov. Mutter likach mimena dogim b'Yom Tov. These fish you're allowed to take and use on Yom Tov. At the beginning of the Siman, we said you're not allowed to take fish from the bibrim, from the bevarim. If you have a little fish pond, we said you're not allowed to take fish from the fish pond. We said that they're not considered, that they're considered mechusar tzeda. Because they're fish, they're mechusim in ayin, they're considered mechusar tzeda. We also said that they're muktzah, they're not minamuchan. Over here, from this stream that you stopped up, we're saying over here, mutter likach mimenu dogim b'yom tov. These you're allowed to take to havalei nitzaydin v'oimdin, because these are not considered mechusar tzeda. These are considered nitzayd v'oimid. These are considered already trapped, and they're considered muchan. They're considered prepared for Yom Tov use, because you stopped up the stream on Erev Yom Tov. By stopping up the stream on Erev Yom Tov, you are making the fish that are caught in your chutzner for Yom Tov use. And the Ramah says here, because we're dealing with a narrow little channel of water that's in your chutzner, and over here, the fish are not considered mechusar tzeda. They really can't get away. It's very, very easy to catch the fish. Says the Mishnah Berurah, nice cut in Yud Beis. Baknisa or bayitzia, you stopped up the channel of water both at its entrance point and at its exit point. Kedei shelo yikansu chadashim, so no fish could come in. V'shelo yetzu hayeshanim, and the fish that are there can't get out. Mutter likach, you're allowed to take fish from this channel. Muktzah enkan, and there's no problem here of muktzah. We already explained that there's no problem of tzeda because these are not considered mechusar tzeda. They're considered nitzayd v'oimid. There also is no problem of muktzah. Muktzah enkan. The ma'isa haschira, because when you do the act of stopping up the channel, chashiv k'may shehizmin dogim yeduim. That is considered as if you are being meichin these fish. Excuse me just 1 second. Just have to write a quick message here. Sorry. Okay, so your act of stopping up the channel is an act of hachana. You were making these fish. Now, he discusses now an interesting shayla. So, okay, so we said you're allowed to take fish from the channel. Are you allowed to catch 10 fish from the channel, select the 5 juiciest ones, and throw back the other 5? Are you allowed to do that? Oh, so the Chavetz Chaim says this shaila talui bazeh. This shaila is talui on the following question: Im bishasha sachar, if at the time that you stopped up the channel, chashav she'efshar sheyitztarich b'yom tov lechol hadogim sheyimtze b'ha'ama. Let's say you went out to your chutzner, you took a look at the channel of water, and you said, oh, there's about 10 fish in here. Good. I'm going to stop up the channel because I might need 10 fish for Yom Tov. Imkain, harei huchadu kol hadogim. So then you were making all the fish in the channel. When you did the mice of stopping up the channel, you saw 10 fish, and you thought to yourself, I might need 10 fish. So your maisa of stopping up the channel was a maisa of hachana, of preparing all 10 fish in the channel. So now you could pull up whatever you want from the channel. And select the big ones, the nice ones, and throw the rest back into the water because they're all minamucha. However, in Bishosha Sasam Amasamayim, if at the time that you closed up the channel, let's say you looked in the channel and you said, oh, there's a ton of fish over here. I'm only going to need a few. Then we cannot say that your act of stopping up the channel is a maisa of hachana on all the fish because you knew you're not going to use all the fish. So you lehedya were not mechin all the fish. Your maisa of hachana was you had in mind, I might need 10 fish. So you were mechin 10 fish. So now if you catch a small fish and you say, no, this one is too small, and you throw it back, igloim milsa, that now reveals the hailoi hucham, that this fish is not one of the fish that you were making. You see, if you had 20 fish in the channel of water, and you thought to yourself, there's no way I'm going to need 20 fish, I might need 5. Then in halacha, we're comfortable saying that the 5 fish that you catch and you use, so those were the ones that you were making, and those are not muktzah. You were making fish. By stopping up the channel, you were making fish. So whatever you actually catch and use, we're going to say that you were making. But if you catch and release, so the one that you release, we can't say that you are making that one for Yom Tov use. You're not using it. Oh, now there's a problem. So then when you handled it, you were being metaltal at shalai l'tzarech, you were being metaltal muktzah. Come on, Siv Yud, like we're going to see later this Svara in Siv Yud. Therefore, lo yivrar v'yaniach hashar. You cannot select and then put some back. Rather, you have to take and eat whatever you catch, bein toivu bein ra, whether it's a good one or a bad one. And you cannot throw back what you decided you do not want to use. Okay, we're going to stop over here at Is Cutting Your Daled in the Mishnah Berurah. Thank you for joining me for Limud HaTorah. The schus of Limud HaTorah should stand Gans Klal Yisrael in good stand. The Rebbeinu Shalom should send Yeshua's Refuas and Parnasa to all those in need. We should have an easy tightness tomorrow, and we should have in mind we should bait the Rebbeinu Shalom. We should send the Bias Ka'el Tzedek, the Meher V'Yameinu. Be well.